Yo, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be doing a VulnHub challenge, and the one we're going to be doing is called PwnLab. So we're going to be trying to hack into PwnLab. But just a quick reminder that once you download a machine from VulnHub, make sure that make sure you download it inside of internal network and not on your host network, right? Because that could expose your host network to an attack. In order to actually go forward in this video, you're going to have to create your own internal network. I'm going to leave a link in the description showing you guys how you can do that. And yeah, so it's a video about network chuck, um, showing you guys how to create a hacking lab. You can go try that out. And yeah, so let's get started. And disclaimer, hacking is illegal. Only do it in a legal environment where you have permission. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to open a terminal. So this is basically where we can interact with a computer, or you can give direct commands in terms of text to the operating system. So I'm going to switch to the super users, which is basically the user that has full control in Linux-based computers. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make the screen bigger for you guys to see. Zoom in a bit. Or can you just... No, you can't do that. Never mind. All right. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do an nmap scan, and then we're gonna add -sv option. What the -sv option does is that it shows us the versions of the services running on the ports on the computer. So basically, if you don't know what a port is something on a computer. Your computer has around 65,535 of them, and they basically are there, and you can port services on those ports, right? So that's what a port is. So I can't go into detail what it is, but that's basically what we're talking about. And nmap is a tool you can use to scan a machine and then figure out which ports are open, and as a result, how we can interact with that computer, right? So we're going to do the -v option, then the -o option. -o tells us the operating system version, and then we have the range of IP addresses in my internal network. Yours could be different. For me, as you can see, goes from 10.38.1.110 all the way up to 10.38.1.120. We're going to hit enter on that, and then we're going to wait for nmap to finish the scan, and then we're going to see what ports are open on the vulnerable computer. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Why are you taking so long? Alright, so it's done the nmap scan, and as you can see, it's saying that port 80 is open, so it's running HTTP on that port, and port 111 is open, and that's using RPC bind, and the other port that's open is 3306, which has a MySQL. So if you don't know what MySQL is, it's a database management system that allows you to modify, add, remove, and basically change things inside of a database. So the first thing we're going to interact with is port 80, because if port 80 is open on any machine and has um, HTTP service on it, that means that we can interact with that computer using a web browser, because a web browser by default interacts with computers using port 80. So we can do that right now, and another thing is that if it has HTTP as a service on port 80, that means it's running a web server, right? So let's open a web browser, by the default one on Kali Linux, Firefox. So we're gonna open that up, and then in order to go to it, just like any use of a web browser, you're gonna have to type in the domain. Right here, we don't have the domain, but we have the IP address. So this is ours. This is our IP address, and this is the IP address of the vulnerable machine, because as you can see there's only two different IP addresses, because this Cat Linux machine and the vulnerable machine are the two devices that are connected to this internal network, right? There's no other machine connected inside this network. So first we're going to do 10.38.1.120, and as you can see, the computer or the web page, the web server running on that computer served me this web page over here. So there's three options. There's home, that's just here. There's login, and then there's upload. But if you notice up here, this question mark page equals, this could indicate that the web application is vulnerable to file inclusion. So file inclusion is basically that we can type in any file name we want inside of here, and because of that, it should serve us the web page. So before it said something like upload, right? So if you look at the page here, press upload, um, the URL is saying that, okay, the IP address slash a question mark page and then equal to, and this is saying upload, right? And then when you got upload, if I press login, it does the same thing, right? Forget this, I tried it earlier, that's why it's saving the password. Well, basically that's what it's doing, right? So the URL is sending a request to the server, and it's saying, give me the login page, right? And then the login page loads, and then upload, it does the same thing. It sends a request to the server, and then it says, give me the upload page, and then we got the upload page. So what if we can include anything we wanted in here, right? What if we can just type in any other web page? So let's try it. So let's say dash dash slash dash dash slash etc slash pass wd. Yeah, that doesn't work here. So if you don't know, this directory usually has the usernames on a Linux machine, and if I didn't tell you already, the vulnerable machine has Linux running on it. So what can we do here? So the next thing I would do here is I'll try to find other pages on this web page. So in order to do that, we can use a tool called GoBuster. GoBuster is a tool that basically allows you to figure out other directories inside of the web page. So I'm not going to type it again. I already typed it before, so I'm just going to go back. But I can't do that. Okay, there we go. So over here, this is GoBuster dir /u URL. And again, there's different tools for doing the same task. Okay, the one I'm using is GoBuster, and then we're gonna have to specify it's a directory we're trying to find, and then we're gonna say the URL is just the IP address, and then the word list is this one over here. This word list already comes pre-installed in the Cat Linux. We're gonna press enter, and as you can see, I already found two directories. One is called images, the other one's called upload. So we can try to check them out. So let's try it over here. Images. It's probably completely useless. And yeah, so the only thing it has is this PwnLab image, which, let's see what happens. Yeah, so just this icon over here, right? It's not icon, it's an image, but it just that first this thing over here, that's basically what the image was. And let's wait and see if we can get anything else. Oh, yeah, we also have upload, so we can go there and say upload. Yeah, so here's it's it looks like it's just a page that holds all the files that we upload onto the web server, because remember we have an upload page here, and since we have to be logged in, right? So once we log in, we can upload something, and it's probably going to end up here, right? So it's going to be listed here. So we're going to wait for this GoBuster to finish and see if we get anything interesting. Okay, interesting name, Firefart. So basically, that's the guy who, one of the guys who made a GoBuster, right? GoBuster version 3.4. I heard that Dirbuster is also another option you can use, but I don't use it. %90. So the scan is completed. So the scan is completed, and we didn't really find anything useful. And let's try to scan again. Except we're gonna scan for files that have the extension. So we're gonna say -x, which means extension, PHP or TXT, because the default scan won't look for those type of files. It's just gonna give us directory names that have it's gonna give a directory name, right? It's not gonna give us files that have a .php extension or .txt extension. So now we're gonna press enter, and we found a couple. So we have this probably the original login page that we saw earlier on. The index.php is the home page, and the upload is the upload page, and we have this interesting file over here. It's called config.php. If you don't know what that is that usually when a computer has a database management system like MySQL running on the computer, it has to store the usernames and passwords of the people that use the database, and the file that it stores it in is usually called config.php. Right, so config.php is usually where all the credentials are stored. So now what I'm thinking of is, remember how we found this vulnerability over here, which is the file inclusion vulnerability? What if we can actually read a PHP file from it? So let's see, PHP :// filter slash uh, uh I can't remember the command. So PHP :// and then would you have it to convert dot base 64. Again, I've wrote this before, which is why it's running it down. Let me say source equals, and then let's just test it out with another page. Let's say upload, or let's just go with login. So what this command should do, if it works, is that it should allow us to this command over here, this section. This should allow us to look or read the source code of every PHP file, but it's first gonna return it as a base 64 encoded string, and then we have to decode it, and then once we decode it, we're gonna get the source code for the PHP script. So once you press enter on this, we're gonna get the I think we made a mistake here. Oh, there we go. We didn't write source properly. As you can see, we got the base 64 encoded string, and then let's just to prove it that it works like that. So we're gonna say copy, and then this scan is still going. So I'm gonna open up another terminal. We're gonna become super user, and then we're gonna say echo. We're gonna paste it in here. That's a long string, and one telltale sign that a string is base 64 encoded is this these two equal signs at the end. So if you have two equal signs at the end, it's usually base 64 encoded. So I'm gonna say pipe base 64 decode, and as you can see, we actually got the PHP script for login.php. Now, can we do that with the config file, the one that could hold credentials? We can actually do that. So if we actually read the config.php script, we might find some interesting information. So let's just do that right now. Instead of login, we're gonna say config.php. We're gonna get a base 64 string again, and then we're gonna copy that. And now what do we do? I don't want this. I want my terminal. There we go. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna say echo, and then we're gonna paste, and then we're gonna pipe it into basic-C4 decode. So if you're not familiar with piping and Linux commands, I'm gonna leave another link in the description that can help you guys out in learning the basic Linux commands. So you can go check that out. So I'm gonna press enter, and there we go. So we got the PHP script for the source code for the config.php file, and we already have a lot of credentials. So we have the server name, which is localhost, and we have the username, root, password, this, and then the database, which is called the users, right? So this could be credentials we can use to log into the MySQL server running on the computer, right? In order to actually connect to the computer and log into its MySQL database management system, there's a set of commands you have to know. So first you're going to say MySQL -h. -h means the host. The host is the one that on the this IP address, right? So the computer with this IP address, which is the vulnerable machine. Then we're going to say -u, which is the username. It's root, and -p. We can write down the password. We don't really have to here. We're going to write it after, and then we're going to say the database, which is users. I'm going to press enter, then we're going to copy this password over here. Since it's asking for the password, I'm going to copy, and then we're going to paste it in here. Press enter, and there we go. We're inside of the MySQL database management system running on the vulnerable machine. You want to see all the databases inside of that MySQL database management system. So we're going to say show databases, semicolon. You always have to use semicolon when you're writing commands. It says that there's two databases. There's one called information schema, which is not that important here, and there's one that's called users. So we're going to use that one. So we're going to say use user. So this is going to allow us to use that specific database. We're going to hit enter, and then it says database managed, database changed. And then now we want to see the tables in the database. So we're going to say show tables. There's only one table. Then we want to select all the columns in that database. So we're going to say select all columns. So this symbol over here, this wildcard over here, it means all columns, right? So I'm going to say select all from users and hit enter on that, and there we go. So we have a bunch of usernames and a bunch of passwords. So this is actually pretty valuable information. So we're going to try to store that and use it later on. So we're going to say Kent. Okay, let's just write them down. So we're going to say username Kent, password, this string over here. So one question I have is that, okay, wait a second. So this, like I said earlier on, you can probably determine that this isn't the password. This is the basic-C4 encoded representation. So we're gonna have to decode that again. So let's just go back to our first terminal. We're gonna say echo basic-C4 decode, and then we get the string. We're gonna copy that. This is the password for the first guy called Kent. We're gonna put it in here. The second guy is called Mike. Apparently there's no females here. So I'm gonna say Mike, and then where's the, yeah, it's over here. What was I doing? So I'm gonna copy this basic-C4 encoded string, and then we're gonna decode it again. So I'm gonna go back to, I just hit it. Okay, let's go here. We're gonna say echo paste, and then we're gonna say basic-C4 decode. It's over here. We got this. We're gonna copy, and we're gonna go back to the other term. Actually, no, we're in the same. Oh my god, I'm confused. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the text file, and I'm gonna type in the password now. And then the last user is Kane, and his password is this basic-C4 decoded string. It's encoded. We gotta decode it. So we do the same thing. Let's say echo, and then we're gonna paste the Kane's password. So paste, and then we're gonna say basic-C4 decode. So this is Kane's password, right? So we're gonna copy selection, and then we're gonna paste it in here. Let's just minimize that, and if you don't know where these usernames and passwords are, it's basically the username and password we can use to log into the web application. Remember the login page? We can actually use it to log in. So since we already have Kane's password, saved in the clipboard, we can just use that. So we're gonna say Kane, and then we're gonna paste that password in. We're press login, and we're inside the web application, right? So now the next step over here is that we want to upload a file. So if you don't know what we're going to do here, we're going to upload a reverse shell, a reverse script, not a reverse shell. It's basically a file that's going to connect. Whenever we're going to upload this file, and then anyone who tries to access this file is going to cause a connection from the server to us, right? So we can't connect to the server, but the server is going to connect to us, and then we're going to have a shell inside of the vulnerable computer. So over here it says browse. So you can browse, and we already have the reverse shell installed. You can download it from the internet. It's not hard. So we're gonna choose it. And we're gonna say open, and then we're gonna say upload. But it says not allowed extension. Please upload images only. So it clearly figured out that our file has a .php extension, but it wants something else, right? So one thing we can do is that we can look at the upload page and then see how what file extensions it allows. But I don't want to do that right now because I've already looked it up. It allows only GIF extensions, PNG, JPEG, JPG. So basically image file extensions, right? So we're gonna change our PHP script here, the extension of our PHP script, and we're gonna name it something else. So we're gonna name it .gif. And then we're going to try to see if it still detects our file. So we're going to say open, upload. Okay, so did it upload? Let's check. So remember, the uploads are on this page, or on the upload directory. Yeah, I did upload it. So yeah, and one thing I forgot to add. In the beginning, it won't work out. The reason it worked for me is because I added the. Let's just change it back for a second, because this is important to understand. Let's say rename, and then if I open the script, if you notice, I added this line on top, which says a GIF 89A. So basically, what that says is that this file is a GIF file, right? If you don't add this line on top, even if you change the extension to .gif, it won't work, right? So this line is important in tricking the web application into thinking that this file is a GIF file. So make sure you do that if you're someone who's doing the PwnLab challenge right now. But yeah, so that's how it works. So we're going to close. You can get out of my face. Then we're gonna rename this. We're gonna say it's .gif, and we already uploaded it, so it's not a big deal. So we're gonna say rename, and then we'll go back to the web app. So we already have it. We already have it here, right? But the thing is, let's just copy the name. If we add it here and you press enter, the page is gonna open. It's gonna say something. Oh, it's not even open. It says cannot be displayed because it contains errors. Okay, so it can't even display it because it probably saw some other stuff, like maybe it saw the PHP stuff and it's like, okay, something's wrong here. So what can we do? How can we get the script to execute? Let's log back in. So what can we actually do here? Let's look at the homepage PHP file, right? We didn't look at that before, did we? And it was called index.php because remember we got it from the Dirbus scan or the GoBuster scan. It was called index.php. So if I just show you that it's the same page, I'll just press enter and we get the same page, right? So if you want to look at the index.php page, okay, or you want to look at the source code for the index.php script, we can use the same strategy. We can say !page equals, and then we're going to say php :// filter slash, no, one slash, convert dot base64 encode resource equals index. So this should be the base64 encoded representation of the index.php file. So I'm going to copy, then I'm going to go back to, no, not the SQL database. We don't really need that right now. I'm going to say the equals echo base64 paste base64 decode. So this is the file, right? And let's just look through this. Okay, so if you look over here, it says if is set, and then it says a cookie and a lang. So what this is checking, if you know PHP, the is set function is basically checking if this variable over here called lang, okay, is actually set. So if it has a value, right? And if it has a value, it includes a script. So that's going to be lang inside the lang directory plus whatever we included inside of the lang variable. So if you don't know what we're going to do here, we're basically going to exploit this. When we were going to exploit it is that we're going to use a proxy to capture the traffic. So when we request the web page, we're going to catch it using a proxy. Before we're going to modify it, we're going to change the variable of lang to point to our script, and then we're going to send it off to the server, and hopefully that's going to cause our script to execute. So yeah, so I'm going to show how I'm going to do that in a minute, but before that we have to set up a listener, right? So we want to set up a listener so that when the script is executed on the server side, the server is going to connect back to our machine, and then we're going to get a shell inside of that computer. So in order to set up a listener, we're going to use a tool called nc. So it's going to be nc slash lnvp, which means this basically allows us to set up the listener, and then we're going to set it on 1 2 3 4. So this port is basically the port that we specified inside of our reverse shell script. So we're going to press enter on that, and we have the listener set up. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the web application, or the proxy, right? The proxy called burp suite, which is basically going to capture the traffic coming from the client, and we're going to be able to do stuff with it before we actually send it over to the server. And remember, guys, when I'm saying server, I'm just referring back to the vulnerable machine, because that's the computer that's hosting this web page. So we can press enter. Next, sorry, they're going to start the burp suite. So now what we're going to do is, okay, please, okay, we're going to go to proxy. Then we're going to, first we're going to actually use the browser with the web, with the browser that comes with burp suite. And then we're going to go to the same page, and then we're going to turn on the intercept. So I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to go to the page, which was 10.38.1.120. Then we're going to turn on the intercept. Now that I think about it, I didn't have to go to the page. I could have just done that in the beginning. Now I'm going to refresh. And as you can see, the web application, this is basically what's being sent over to the server, right? So when we go to 10.38.1.120 from our browser, this is what's being sent to the server. As you can see, it has a bunch of variables here. They're set to different values, and then it basically does that for us. Let's see something. I'm just kind of curious here, so I'm gonna say login. Turn that off for a second. Say login. That was a Kane. And then I can't remember the password for Kane. Let me just open that. Let me copy this. Yeah, so it works. Never mind. So I'm just gonna go back. And then let me minimize this again. So I'm gonna turn on the intercept. Then I'm gonna refresh. So I'm gonna go here, refresh. And then, okay, so it looks like we added something else here. It's the session ID because it probably remembers that we're logged in. But we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to say lang equals. And then remember how it's looking inside of the lang directory and then looking for what we have. So we have to go back go backwards in a directory, traverse upwards one time. Now we're back to where we were before. And then normal 10.38.1.120. Then we're going to say upload, go inside the upload directory. And then we're going to specify the name, the name of our script, right? Which was what? Let me go check that again. So it's upload. So it's this. So we're trying to copy. No, I want to copy, man. Oh my god, it's not gonna allow me to copy. Copy, right? So I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna paste. And let's see if once we pass this to the server, whether it's going to run that file. Because remember how the do I have it saved here? Let me check. Yeah, so remember how in here it's saying is cookie lang set? Yes, it is. We set it to a value, right? And then it's gonna go and try to execute or include the file that we specified. So we wanted to include our reverse shell, so that once this goes to the server, it's gonna connect back to us. So if reverse shells and stuff like that are new to you, you just go learn about how reverse shells work. It's not that complicated. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna go to burp suit, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say forward the request, and as you can see, we got a shell. So we sent that over to the server. It checked if the lang cookie was set to a value. It was, so that it included the executable script, so that once it included the executable script, it actually ran that file. And then once it ran that file was a reverse shell, so it forced the server to connect back to us. And then now we have a shell inside of the computer. So we're basically inside the computer right now. I can say ls. We can list all the stuff in this directory. I can say who am I? Yeah, we're www data. But we have a you know how we have a terminal over here to use a computer and then look inside of the files. Like if I go back up here, okay, let's open another one. You know how in Linux I can go ls, look inside of there, and then I can say cd back whatever, and I can look at what's inside of there, and then look at the directory. I can do all those things inside of here, which means I have a connection inside of the computer, inside of the vulnerable computer. So now that we're inside, let's just check. Let's just check something. Let's go to cd home, and then let's ls, and there we go. So we have the home directories for all the users. So apparently there's a user called John that we didn't get. Let's see who we you know what, let's try to log in as John. I think we can do that. So I'm going to say switch user Kane. Oh, we need a terminal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Python script. This command basically allows us to get an actual shell. Like, look, if you compare that to what we have earlier, to this, not this, sorry. If you go to the root, not here again, here. Let's say I switch user to root here. So I'm going to switch back to root. Give me a minute, guys. Over here, where we had the... Oh my god, there's so many terminals and stuff. Not this one. Not this one. Yeah, there we go. So we want a shell. We wanted to say something like the username at and then the name. So I'm gonna show you later. So first I'm gonna write down a script. So it's gonna give me a bash shell, right? So I'm gonna say import pty. Then I'm gonna say pty dot spawn bin bash. I want a bash shell. I'm gonna close and press enter, and as you can see now I actually have a shell here. I have a bash shell running. So now that we have a bash shell running, hopefully it allows us to switch to the user Kane. and ask for Kane's password. Again, I copied it somewhere. I can just get it back. Say copy. Um, it's getting pretty confusing. Yeah, it's getting pretty confusing here. It's a pain because I'm gonna paste here, paste, and yeah, now we're Kane, right? So now we can look inside of what Kane has. So we're gonna say cd into Kane. It says message mic. So let's see what that is. So we're gonna say file message mic. Oh, it's an executable. So we're gonna execute msg mic. So it looks like it when we try to execute msg mic, it tried to cat a file called msg.mic. Okay, so what could we do here? Again, I'm gonna have to think about this. That's very weird. So it looks like this file, this program, this msg mic that we try to execute, it tried to basically read the content in a file called msg.txt, right? So what I'm thinking, hmm. Oh yeah, so guys, maybe I have an idea. So guys, remember that set UID? If you didn't know, this is gonna be new to you, but a set UID binary is basically an executable file that runs as root. So when we're running this program, like when this program is running, it thinks we are root. So what I'm thinking of is if you can add a command that basically says um, give us a bash shell, okay, like while the program is running, then it's gonna give us a shell into root because we are running as root. You get what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking of right now. Since it runs a tool called cat, okay, somewhere inside of the scripts. What I'm thinking of is to create a script, or to create a program, and then once I create that program, I want it to basically run that program instead of cat, and inside of that program, I'm gonna add bin bash or something like that. All right, so my plan here is first I'm gonna copy the cat program into the temp directory. So in order to do that, I'm gonna do echo first, and I'm gonna add the bin bash command in there. So I'm gonna say bin bash, okay, bin bash, and I'm gonna print that out into temp cat, okay. Then I'm gonna go into that directory. So I'm gonna do temp cd temp, and then in here I'm gonna give it execution properties, which is going to be cat. And then I'm gonna go back to home Kane. Sorry, I have to change the environment variable as well. So I'm going to import path, export path is equal to temp colon, and then what was there before. So path. Then I'm gonna go back to home Kane, and then the message mic, and there we go. So now it worked. So basically, what I did was I put this command bin bash inside of cat, and then I moved the cat inside of the temp directory. And then what I did was I went into the temp directory and gave it permissions. So if you don't know what chmod is, it's a tool that allows you to modify permissions, whether you can read a file, um, write to a file, execute a file. So I gave permissions to cat to execute the command, And then what I did was I changed the environment variable to point to the temp directory, because the normal cat programs inside of the bin directory, which is somewhere else. But we want to actually have our own version of the cat command inside of temp, so that once we write cat, when it gets to cat, it looks inside of the temp directory before it looks inside of the bin directory. That might be kind of confusing, but that's what I did first, so that once we executed msg Mike, which probably means message Mike, what that means is that it went inside of that file, and then instead of catting the text file from before, it tried to run a bash shell. So you want to run a bash shell. The normal cat command just displays text. So it didn't actually get that cat command. It got the cat command that we put inside the temp directory, and then that one allowed us to execute the shell. So that's what we did here. And as you can see, now we're logged in as Mike. And when we go down, we're in the same directory. So we want to go back to the home folder for Mike this time. And we have a program called message to root. So what does that do? Let's just find out what it is. So a message to root. Okay, again, it's a set UID. So basically, when we run this program, we're actually root, just like with the message Mike program. Let's run it and see what happens. Message to root. That's a message for root. I'm gonna say, and basically it runs a command twice. So what I'm thinking of is, let's say we did message to root, and now we're actually running as root. So what if we type in bin bash? Is that gonna work? So let's say bin bash. No, it just prints it out twice. Let's try again. So I can't even call the same command twice anymore. So I'm saying message root, then message, we're gonna say bin bash. Yeah, so that doesn't work. That's interesting. Oh, so it looks like it's doing echo, right? It looks like it's doing an echo command. So what if we can echo into our original file and then get it to do something? I don't know. We're gonna have to think about that. You know what? I'm thinking of something. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try it. So let's say it echoes something. You know how the echo command, if I do something like echo to end 3, will it work like that? No, it doesn't. Wait, let's see. 2. Okay. And echo 3. Okay, so the echo command actually can run 2 different commands with the and. So let's try to take advantage of that. So let's run msg. No, it's not msg. It was what message was it? What was it called? msg to root. So msg to root. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, the first thing is gonna print. So I'm just gonna say, hey guys. Okay. But then if I say and then I type in another command, it should run the command after print. So it's going to print hey guys, and then it's going to run this next command. And since we're running as a root, what we can do is we can run the first command, which says print hey guys, and then inside of here we can try to get a shell by saying bin bash. Is this going to work? Let's see. So let's see who we are. Okay, so what happened here? I don't know what happened here. Did I screw something up? No, we're still Mike. Oh, I don't think we got it. Oh, that's disappointing. Okay, let's try that again. Let's say message to root. Message to root. Then I'm gonna say let's go guy and bin bash. So I just pressed enter a couple of times in order to get some space. So let's try that execution command again. message to root. We're running as root, and let's try to do some random thing. And then in the second command, what I realized earlier on was that I was doing bin bash, right? So let's try the sh, right? So sometimes it's bash, sometimes it's sh. Let's try the sh this time. And wait, did it work? Yes, we're actually root, so we basically gained full control over this computer right now. Let's say ls, we're inside of there, and now we can just go to the root directory. Oh, I can't even cd to root. That's kind of weird. But it's a good thing to know that we're root. Let's try to get a shell. Can we get a shell? So I'm gonna say python c. I'm gonna say import pty again, and then pty dot spawn bin bash. Oh wait, we can't do that. Let's see. Oh, did I type something wrong? Oh, import pty dot spawn bin bash. Okay, let's just go back here and then go back to ls, go back again, ls, root. Oh, now it worked. Okay, now we can cd into root. Okay, then we say ls, and we have flag. So we're gonna flag.txt. Wait, what happened? This thing is really annoying. So we're gonna say messages. I'm gonna say cat messages. Oh wait, because we changed the environment variable. So let's just modify that again. Let's say, yeah. So if you look at env, can we do that? Yes, and yeah, we have the temp, so we have to get rid of that temp, right? We want to run the normal cat program, the one that's in a local bin. We don't want it to be inside of temp anymore. Yes, I don't really remember how we can actually modify the flag variable. I know how to add stuff to it. Not the flag variable. I meant the path environment variable. I don't really remember how to add anything to it. So you know what? I think we can do it without. We can just specify the one in bin. So we can say bin cat. So we want to run that cat program, and we want a cat flag .txt, right? Boom. There we go. We finished it. It says if you are reading this means that you have break in it PwnLab. That's I don't think that's English. It says, I hope you enjoyed and thanks for your time doing the challenge. Please send me your feedback or your write up. I would love reading it. And it gives us the email address. So yeah, so I think we did it. Let's just see what's inside of the other file, the one that's in bin cat. And then if you remember, there was a messages file. So let's read the messages file. Let's say cat. Now remember, if we say cat, it's going to do our old cat program because it's going to look inside of the path variable and it's going to look inside of the temp directory first and it's going to run our old cat program. But we want to run the original cat program that's by default inside of the bin directory. So we're going to say bin slash cat and then messages.txt. Yeah, so there's nothing in there and we basically completed the challenge, I guess. So yeah, guys, so if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and yeah, so let me know if you want more of these kind of videos. I don't know, it's kind of fun challenge here. The last part was kind of confusing where we had to take advantage of the fact that let's go back up here, that the original message mic program, I don't remember what it is. Yeah, this part was calling the cat, and then we had to sort of copy the cat command over to the temp, and then we had to add and modify it so that it executes, and then we had to change the path variable inside of the original path variable so that it looks inside of the temp directory so that it gets our cat command rather than the default one that just prints text to the screen. Yeah, so I know there's a lot of confusing sections in here, but I hope you guys benefited. And yeah, so if you have any questions about how I did this, you can leave a comment and I can try to explain it to you guys. And yeah, have a good day, guys.